Hello, my name is Kevin Garmendia, and I will talk about the Code of Ethics in Engineering. We will discuss what is NSPE, what is the Code of Ethics, and also give an example of a section in the Code of Ethics. Let's start with what is NSPE. NSPE stands for the National Society of Professional Engineers. It is an organization that ensures that engineers are licensed and that they're also ethically accountable for their actions, regardless of what is their area of practice, right? So this includes all branches of engineering, regardless of when they graduated, what they study, what their concentration is. As long as they're practicing engineers, they have to be members of this organization. Uh, it was established back in 1934, and ever since it's been building a relationship with the public of trust. So they have a lot of recognition behind them. Its main job is to point out any unethical practices that they see, either by individuals or engineering firms. And they also invite their members to report them if they see any unethical behavior by an individual, by their peers, or their firm, right? So they're basically the main authority and when it comes to ethics in engineering. So what is the Code of Ethics? The Code of Ethics is a set of rules set by the NSPE that any engineer can follow to make sure that their decisions are being ethical, they're being responsible, and also as a way that they could easily identify when someone is not um, making an ethical decision, right? So you can easily say, oh, based on the Code of Ethics, I see that this person is doing so and so, and this is not ethical according to that, right? And why does it matter? Well, think about it. Um, Engineering actions, they impact everyone's lives. You wouldn't get into a highway that was designed by someone who's got their license revoked, for example. So everything in our lives revolves around engineering. So we have to make sure that we have some rules to guide what they do to make sure that all engineers are following it, because if not, maybe someone likes to do things one way and the other one likes to do another things another way, and this person says that this is right and this person says that this is right, but we need to get some consensus, right? And they have to be accountable for their actions. So we cannot have them to be faithful agents if we don't have this set of rules to tell them this is right and this is wrong. So now let's look at an example, right? This is part 2, section 1 of the Code of Ethics, and it says, engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. So in our example, we're gonna see something related to what your client wants, what he's telling you to do, and what you think you should do based on what is ethical. Remember, the main objective of this is public safety. So the scenario says there's some tenants living in an apartment building and they're complaining to the landlord that they think the building is unsafe for them to be in, right? So they file a lawsuit with against the landlord. So he goes ahead and hires you to investigate the apartment building. And in your report, you point out that you found some structural defects and, you know, this has to be addressed immediately because people are living in it, right? Someone might get hurt. But he tells you to keep silent until the lawsuit ends, because, you know, you may make him lose the lawsuit with your report. So you have two options. You can either explain to him the situation and then you must report it, or keep quiet about the problem because you don't want to get into any legal problems or liabilities, right? You don't want to be, you know, held accountable for something extra that is not actually part of what you're doing. You're just doing your report on the building. You found this and that, right? And then you don't want to get involved, right? Let's say we don't want to get involved. We say, well, you know, I don't want to get in any trouble. I have a lot of work, many other clients, so I don't want to say anything about it. I'm not going to get involved, right? So you didn't get involved. You have committed violation A. But if we go back and you get involved and you tell him the situation and then you just go ahead and report it without his consent, you will also be, you, well, not necessarily, but you might be in violation C. section C inside the same part 2. So let's see both of them and see how each of your decisions can put you at a violation, right? So part A says that if your judgment is overruled by your by the circumstances, right? That could be someone might get hurt, property might get damaged, you know. Uh, you have to notify your employer or client and the appropriate authority, right? So you can go ahead and notify them, explain it, and then you report it, but he hasn't given you permission to do it. So if you report it and he doesn't give you permission, you may be in violation of Part C, that you cannot reveal facts, data, or information without prior consent. However, it depends on what you give. You don't have to give everything. You can just say that you find this isn't safe for people living, and you did your report and stuff. But as long as you don't give some confidential data, you can, you know, talk to authorities, because in here in Part C it also says except as authorized or required by the law or this code. So if the code requires you to do so, you can, right? But you just have to be careful how you do it. So either option has its consequences, but the better option in this case would be to talk to him, tell him the report, and then tell him that you have to report it because it's your ethical duty as a practicing engineer, but you will not disclose details, right? So you have to be compliant with both sections. So it's a bit tricky, but you have to be aware of how this code of ethics works. And this is just a specific example, and it's all regarding public safety, right? And this is the references if you want to know more about it. Thank you for your time.